Okay, so we're here with Frank and Teaching Machines. Frank, what have you brought to Bristronica this year?
It was just to see it for the first time, really, and to show off a few bits and pieces that we've been making.
What have you been making? Tell us about them.
Well, our main kind of product at the moment is this, which is the Wellspring, which is stereo spring reverb and stereo delays with filtering and modulation all in one box. And I just got like an ARP going through it at the moment, which sounds like this. And that's dry. And can have a bit of springs in there. And then mix in some delays as well.
Is that all sound of the spring? Just the spring?
Yeah,
itself?
Well this is the delays are doing this. Let's give them a bit of delays. Yeah, and I bring the springs as well. And the idea is that you mix together your delays and the springs and modulate them and put some feedback around the whole thing as well. And
it sounds beautiful. It sounds really lush.
You can get like a number of different sounds out of it. Some interesting filtery stuff. Well, that's very.
And what was the inception of the idea to create this?
A few things really. I've always liked spring reverbs. I've always liked delays, and it's something that's been a bit of a pain to have them all connected up in stereo how I wanted them. Especially with doing things like having feedback around it and having different kinds of filters on the delays, which is something you don't get that often. Especially having things like bandpass and highpass on the feedback of the delay. And also having it all in stereo, because a lot of these old spring reverb or delay boxes are mono. And for something that's meant to create ambience, you do really want stereo most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Is there like a modulation for panning? Do you have panning controls?
There's no panning, but the delays are essentially it can be totally separate in the left and right. So you could even use them on two different sounds if you wanted to. And then you can cross over the delay feedback and do a number of things like that. Some of these effects are kind of subtle.
Right. And just tell us about the spring that's inside there. What are the sort of properties and characteristics that make a good spring for a spring reverb?
They are as big as the entire unit, so they're the biggest and longest ones we could find. And they are, what else is interesting about them? They're also the longest of the longest ones we could find.
Okay. So like tightly wound, I suppose.
Yeah. And they have a quite a low input impedance as well. So we use quite an interesting amplifier with feedback to drive them, which gives quite a sort of slightly more hi-fi sound for the springs than you often get from a typical spring reverb.
And who do you foresee using this kind of thing? Like who's your kind of target market for this?
A lot of producers and studios, really. I think we've had a few people. A few endorsements from some people who like them already, so and also basically anyone who wants a nice sounding spring reverb and delay box, really.
Yeah, it does sound really, really nice.
Yeah.
Is it available now?
Yeah. We've been selling these for about a couple of years now.
Oh, fantastic! And how much does it retail for?
It's 1,250, I think, unless you have your special 10% off from the. Yeah. or you can get them from various distributors if you're in America or other places like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And why the name Teaching Machines for your company? What's the connection there?
I literally have a teaching machine at home, which is designed to teach children about electronics. And I just really liked the way it had teaching machines written on it. Yeah. And I kind of like the idea that it was you're teaching the machine to do something useful.
See, it's that way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's called a Wellspring because of the connotation of inspiration, as well as being about springs. Yeah, and being well springy. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for showing us, Frank. We really appreciate that.
Yeah,
lovely.
Thank you. Yeah.